Danny, this is crazy, man. You got everybody thinking that we're kissing sisters out. See, I mean, at this point, Danny, you're drunk. Like, you know how everybody says when you tie, it's like a brother and sister kissing.
No,
like, you never heard that? Oh, you're a wild, bro.
That's the battered way of looking at things, though, right? Because
we're the battered herons, Ian.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Chris, the herons are back. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 52 of the Battered Herons podcast. I am your host, Daniel Granada, alongside me, Mr. KBD himself. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I just want to make it clear that we won another game. So, of course, I'm doing splendid. Especially
talking soccer, of course, right?
Yes, I'm talking soccer. Yes. Okay. I'm talking soccer.
For those of you listening and not watching on YouTube, I am wearing a Miami Heat jersey because Chris is, for some reason, a Knicks fan, and we've been going back and forth about the Knicks and Heat. I am admittedly not necessarily a Heat fan. I am a Heat supporter. I am a Brooklyn Nets fan, but I am a Knicks hater, so I am there with you and all the Miami fans. So F the Knicks, and it's actually been a great Miami sports weekend. But
these guys,
anyway, getting back.
These guys on my shirt haunted the Heat at some point. Okay, so put some respect on the name. All right.
So, but it was a great Miami sports weekend in general, but for Inter Miami especially because they finally broke that losing streak. Right, it was 6 in a row. We thought it might be 7 because neither you nor I nor many people thought that they would go on the road and beat a good Columbus team, but they did. And I think you more than anybody, I think you're feeling pretty good right now, right?
Oh, I'm feeling incredible. Are you kidding me? We got the win. Phil Neville got coach of the match of the week of whatever. Phil Neville for president at this point. Okay. And so I'm on a high right now. I'm on a high.
So let's get into it. So we lost the streak. I mean, we broke that losing streak, but I'm kind of curious as to your opinion because I've heard several things. I've heard some people say we broke the losing streak. We finally won a game because technically that Miami FC game technically wasn't a win. A lot of people are saying, or some people are saying we're riding a 2-game win streak. So did we break the streak on Saturday or did we just start a winning streak on Saturday? Which of the two is it, Chris?
I mean, it depends. If you work at a circus with all these clowns that are out here, then obviously they're going to tell you our losing streak was broken or whatever, right? Or a winning streak started. I don't know. At this point, it's 2 wins in a row, right? And let me tell you something. When I think Argentina beat France in penalty kicks.
Don't give me that. That's such a
stupid analogy. Let's call it
stupid analogy,
Bobby.
No, it's not.
If Argentina beat
I'm
France
with you though. I think it was a win.
They won.
I think it was a win.
No, you don't think it was a win. It was a win. That's what it is.
Dumb.
It's not about thinking. It's not about opinions. It's not about what we believe. At the end of the day, a win is a win. Nobody's
thing with the Miami FC game,
Lionel Messi did not win a World Cup. Oh my God! Oh,
I've heard so many people give that analysis.
Get out of my face with that. Get out.
I think the thing with the Miami FC game wasn't so much that it wasn't a win or a draw or whatever. I think it was the fact that it should have been a loss, so it's not impressive. So I wouldn't celebrate that as a win because that should have been a loss. You shouldn't have played that poorly against Miami FC. But I get it. I agree with you. They won. Like, I don't care what the record book says about it ending in a draw, and then you ended up to me, it was a win. So that's fine. I don't think it was an impressive win. Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's move on to Saturday's game. We played Columbus. We played on the road. You nor I nor Tyler from the Columbus podcast last week, nor nobody in the chat, nobody thought we were winning. And if you said that Inter Miami was winning, you're one of those people that just says Inter Miami is going to win every week, no matter what. Like, you could literally just have a bunch of just like grandpas out there running around playing against like prime Argentina and be like, oh, but Inter Miami is going to win, because those are the only people that said that we would beat this team on Saturday, because there was no reason to. Why? You haven't scored an away goal all year. Why would you randomly think that we're going to go ahead and beat Columbus on the road? So I think that they did a great job as far as getting the W. But was it impressive? Like, did you think it was an impressive win? Like, are you now feeling better about the team because we got this W?
I think it's very impressive to win. I mean, we're talking about a team that struggles to score goals away, scores 2. I mean, that's impressive. If you're going to sit there and think as a fan that that is not impressive, that we score 2 goals away, then you're out of your mind completely.
But isn't that kind of sad that that's what we consider impressive? Like, because our expectations are so low, it's like we scored 2 away. That's very impressive. Like, isn't that kind of sad that that's where we've gotten?
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, when it comes to away games, just generally speaking, people are not expecting like this blasting of goals. You know, nobody's thinking that the away team is going to go out and score a ton of goals, right? But here we are, a team that doesn't score many goals. We finally get 2 goals over, on the road against a formidable opponent. Like, these guys aren't pushovers. These guys are not pushovers. So we walked away with a win with more than 1 goal. We played great defense, a lot of defense, but great defense nonetheless. And listen, I have a lot of thoughts about this game and about Phil Neville, and I just can't wait. I can't wait to cover this. I can't.
Well, when do you think was the last time we scored an away goal? And I don't count the Miami FC because technically it was US Open Cup and technically it was in Miami. It was more Miami than our actual home games in Drive Pink Stadium. So
technically it's not in our field. It's not a Drive Pink. So
I understand.
But
so
before
when do you
that,
think was the last one? Before that, when do you think was the last time we scored away?
I think it's got to be last year against.
You know what? It wasn't as far back as I thought. I thought it was further back. I'll tell you.
What game was it?
September 30th against Toronto. We won 1-0. I honestly thought it was further back than that. So it wasn't that far back. So September 30th, the last season, which was basically almost the end of the season at that point anyway.
The last time we scored an away goal.
Correct. It was in Toronto. We haven't looked good this year, especially on the road. So getting 2 goals, like you said, is impressive for us because of our expectations and how low they've gotten. Okay, well, let's get into the game itself.
Well, Steve Munoz is here dropping something that no one thought Inter would beat Columbus because tactically they hadn't shown anything different until match day. It was an impressive win, good defensively, and a mature approach. I mean, look, I agree with that. I agree with that.
What did you think of the first half? Because the first half, I felt like Columbus, although Inter Miami looked good, I'm not going to say that they didn't look good, right? We scored 2 goals and we had our chances. I thought Columbus was the better team. I thought Columbus was creating more. Now, I think we ended up obviously with the lead thanks to Drake on some great saves and then just some good luck. But I thought Columbus looked the better side in the first half.
Well, I mean, it was a little bit of, to me, the first half was, of course, a little bit more dominant in terms of how Inter Miami played versus the second half. The second half, you could tell that it was just pure defensively.
Get the dub.
Yeah, just get the win and hone down on the defensive end. So, I mean, look, you can't take away the fact that this was the complete opposite of what we've been seeing these last couple weeks, right? We've been super possession team every single week in and out. And then all of a sudden, now we are on the solar opposite of that. A lot of people say, oh, well, we didn't have possession and we finally won. What was the difference? Like, I'll tell you, I don't think that there was a game plan in terms of having more possession or not. They just decided to not go out on the sides as much as they usually do. Because if you notice, there was a little bit of play in the middle. No?
No, I felt like they still were building up over the sides. And I mean, we scored 4 goals over the last 2 games, right? The 2 in Miami FC and then these. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but I believe 3 of those 4 were off of headers that were crossed in. No?
Yeah.
So we're still building in and we're still doing the cross and pray. Now the difference is now we have somebody that can win those headers and score, which is Campana, which is what we were missing. Because before we had Joseph over there trying to win those headers over those towers of defenders, center backs usually. And now we have Campana back, and Campana and Borgelin, they got one of those also, are bigger strikers that can maybe get the head to a ball. So I think that that's the difference as far as this formation or this tactic of going up the wings and kind of just crossing and hoping that things work out. But I didn't think that they were playing necessarily up the middle any more than they usually do. I think they're still building up across along the wings.
This point that Steve just brings up is a perfect point. Also, more low crosses. That's another thing that I noticed that was different on their approach when playing from the outside. Because typically you would see the high crosses coming over, but I noticed that Negri, he kind of mixes it up a little bit. He goes with the high cross, 2 low crosses, then a high cross, another high cross. So he mixed it up, and it definitely did make a difference.
Well, I do agree, because there was this low cross that he came in down the left flank, and he did a low cross, and he got Benja Kromashki, which we're going to get into. I can't get his name right, man. Kromashki or Kromashi, one of those. Well, Benja, he got it. He was on the receiving end, and the goalies had a great block. Then Coco did his best impersonation of Lassiter, hit off the post, I think it was. And then we got a corner, but off of that corner, that's when Campana hit that second goal, the header. And I was looking up at the stats, and you know what? There was a little more build-up technically as far as the stats go up the middle. They favored the right side 41%. And they went up the middle 29% and up the left side to 30%. So there was a little more build-up through the middle. And Benja was a big part of that. I mean, do you want to get into Kromashi now? Because I know you've been calling for Kromashi to start for a while.
Well, listen, that's something for sure I've been calling for.
Kromashi. Thank you, Steve. Kromashi.
Yeah, just before we get into that, Pete Abronsky brings up, check out the stats from Nashville versus Atlanta. Nashville won 3-1. The stats aren't that different from ours. Campapi buried a couple chances. Well done. And Pete, I'm definitely going to save that comment for our episode on Wednesday when we do talk a little bit more about Atlanta.
And Chris, as you bring up your next point, I'd love Pete to elaborate. What's the point of bringing up the stats from Nashville and Atlanta? I'm not sure what he means by that. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Chris?
I've been calling for Ben Krem to get on the field for a while.
Krem, okay.
So I've been calling for him for a while, and you know it. I've been loud and proud about it. And as a matter of fact, I've been wanting him to play more of a CDM role, because I feel like his activity and his aggressiveness would pay off better. But I mean, at this point, we have no Duke. We have nobody in the middle. We didn't start Pizarro. So the best play at that point would have been to be able to play him. And listen, this is something that I've been calling for a while, you know, and just
real quick, shout out to Trav from Trav Chats. He's been on the Ben Kramashi train
the Ben Krem
since we spoke to him back in January. He was a guest on the show, and he was telling us this is the guy to look out for. And he also told us he's not necessarily a CDM. He's more of an 8 that can push up, and that was very evident. And I guess that's why they never put him in that role to kind of replace Gregory, because that's not his game. He's more of an 8, and he showed it. He was great. And that assist that he had, that first goal, that was beautiful. It was Negri to Stefanelli.
It was
Stefanelli with a beautiful cross, and Kramashi didn't even hesitate. Did not hesitate. He saw the run that Campana was making, and he laid that ball, and he led him beautifully with that headed pass. And he couldn't have done it any better. Campana finished it. I don't know if Joseph would have finished it. Like, I'm starting to lose all hope that I had in Joseph. He's going to have to prove me wrong. But it looked great, and Kramashi was obviously, I thought, the star of the first half.
Well, just to touch up on Lucas's comment here, don't worry. It's coming. The Stefanelli slander, it's definitely coming. And of course, he mentions box to box, Lucas. So, and it's true, man. That was a great play. That was a great play.
It was beautiful.
And the fact that he was able to see that Ben Krem and headed over to Campana waiting for that. I mean, that was golden. That was golden. And then we got Mr. Krabs happy about the win, but again, can imagine life without Drake Callender. I'm gonna say if
Well,
Calendar didn't stand on his head all game, Miami would have lost.
but that's the
Could be.
other thing, because like I said, in the first half, I thought that Columbus was the better side. I'm not saying that Inter Miami played poorly. I didn't. I thought Inter Miami played well, and they played better than they have the last 6 losses, obviously, right? But I thought Columbus had a lot of opportunities. That goal that Cucho had, one, it was a beauty, and second, nobody closed out on him. They let him
Yeah,
take
that
that
was
shot.
terrible.
When
Yep.
you should know, there should be a scouting. Hey, if Cucho gets the ball, this guy will shoot it from absolutely anywhere, anywhere. So you have to close in on him, and they let him take that shot, and he landed
Yeah.
it beautifully. And how deflating was it? The fact that we took the lead with 7 minutes into the game, and before we hit the 10-minute mark, they tied the game. At that point, I lost hope. I was like, there it goes. There it goes. And now Columbus is about to get rolling. That's what I felt. How were
Oh,
you
yeah.
feeling after they tied the game that quickly?
No, as soon as that happened, I thought that it was a wrap. I thought it was a wrap because we weren't playing as aggressive as I had liked us to. I mean, you know, I just expected a lot of goals coming from Columbus. I really did.
So did I. So did I.
And it's just surprising the kind of game that they had against us at home.
But look, they had a few opportunities. There was, I forgot the kid's name with the dreads, but he had a counter going up the right flank, and he was basically one-on-one with Drake, and Drake stopped that one-on-one shot. That should have been a goal. But they had a
Yeah.
lot of opportunity. Celerion had another one that was inside the box. He was running to his right, I want to say. He shot it. Drake had another stop. Like, there was a lot of, they had 20 shots. 20
Yeah.
shots overall. 14 in open play, which means they were building up to these shots. Unlike Miami had 8 shots on in total. 4 of those, I think, were set pieces. So we had 4 open play shots. So, like, we're still not necessarily creating a lot, right? We're still counting on the crosses, the set pieces, the corners.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because 20 shots sounds like our game against Houston a couple weeks ago, right? And everybody was
Should
hating
have won
on
that
it,
game. Yeah.
right? Oh, yeah, but everybody's like, "Oh, Phil Neville, get out of here!" Blah, going crazy. And then
Chris,
now,
okay, we need to put a
Columbus-
stop on this because you're talking nonsense now. That was after that Houston game. Everybody said we finally looked good in a loss because before that we had looked like complete crap in all the losses.
and get Phil Neville out of here.
When the Houston game happened, at that point it was what was that the 6th game in a row? That was the 6th loss. Yes, you look better, but Chris, like if you take a shot in basketball and you hit the rim, are you saying, oh, but at least we hit the rim? No, at some point you got to make those shots. After 5 losses in a row, you're at the 6th game. You have to hit those or you don't get credit. If we wouldn't have been on a 5-game losing streak, he would have gotten more credit. But at that point, it's nice. I think everybody was like, okay, we looked better. Maybe we got something going here, but we still didn't win. But I don't think, at least me personally, I don't know if you remember, after that game, I said I was closer to Neville out, but I still wasn't there. When did I get there, Chris? I got there after the Miami FC debacle. Because if we can't look good against that team.
Well, it's like you said, right? 20 goals, 20 shots against the rim. There's no basket. That sounds like a player problem, not like a coach problem. So that
I can agree with that. But you have to
to my argument of not having the right players scoring your damn goals and throwing too much shade at Phil Neville. But we're probably going to get into that in a little bit.
But that also goes back to what I've always told you, that I don't think that Henderson gets enough criticism for the players that Neville is coaching. Because
Neville, you're the
right.
Coach, match of the week of the team of the week coach Phil Neville, right? We're talking about that Neville.
Yeah. Before we get into that. Okay, so the first half scored in the 7th minute. Beautiful. What was it that Don Cafecito called him? Ben Cremita, was it? It was something like that.
Ben Crema.
Okay.
Ben Cremita, right here.
That was all him, okay? I think that was all him. I mean, obviously Campana can finish. I'm glad Campana's back because obviously he makes a world of difference. We started playing well last year once Campana started rolling, right? You got that hat trick against New England, and then we started rolling. So we're on to something, right? Campana's back. Our best player is back. Let's see what he can take us. They scored their goal before the 10th minute. Very deflating. But Inter Miami, to their credit, although I thought Columbus had more opportunities in that first half, Inter Miami is the team that ended up taking the lead. We took that 2-1 lead after that corner kick. At that point, we go into the half 2-1. How confident were you that we were going to win that game?
Well, I mean, with the way that they were playing defense, it was like Fort Knox, right? I mean, they were just trying to make sure nothing got through. So at some point, I did feel comfortable that they were going to kill enough time that there wouldn't be so many drastic opportunities. And they were plugging a lot of holes at the end. Like, the defense was sound. So I don't want to say that I felt super comfortable that we were going to walk away guaranteed with a win by the 70th minute, but it looked nice to see that the defense was actually playing effectively towards the end of the game.
Pete answered back with the question that I asked him. I asked him what he meant about the Nashville-Atlanta game. He said a lot of negative comments about the tactics. This is what we have to do to have success without a number 10, discipline in the low block, and finally bearing chances. Okay, so it's kind of like what everybody was considering Neville ball last year. Because I don't know if you remember at the beginning of last year. This year, everybody's criticizing Neville because he's too aggressive offensively, right? Our backs are playing like wing backs. They're constantly up top, not getting back, all that other stuff, right? But last year, what people considered Neville ball was completely different. Everybody was saying that he was way too defensive. That what we were doing is we were trying to get a goal here and there, but we were just defending for our lives. And that's because we had no 10. We changed that type of game plan once we got Pozuelo. Now this year we're back to that. We don't have a 10, and maybe he's reverting back to what he tried last year, which technically kind of worked. It had us afloat. We weren't necessarily a great team, but we weren't necessarily out of the playoff contention either. We were kind of just hovering, and I think that that's where we're going to end up going now. I think that that's going to be the game plan now. Let's just defend for our lives, because that's what it ended up being in the second half. It was one of the most miserable watches ever because it was boring as hell. It felt like we had like 15 people in the box. And Columbus is just like, okay, we just have to break it down. There was absolutely nobody pressing the Columbus players. They looked like we usually look every week. We're just kicking it around, trying to figure out how to get in and break down the defense. And that's basically what the second half was.
Listen, I mean, I feel like the second half was basically put the walls up, play as best defense as possible, and get out of there with a win or a tie. I felt like at this point, even walking away with a tie would have been beneficial, especially for an away game. So that's what I felt what was happening. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Pizarro. I was surprised that he didn't start. I thought that if somebody was going to lose their spot to Cremaschi, it would be Stefanelli.
Yes.
Now, Cremaschi finally came off, but he came off for Ruiz. Were you surprised that they put in Ruiz instead of Pizarro at that point of the game?
I mean, I felt like
I want to say it was like the 70th minute, more or less.
I want to say that maybe that was a play to, like, you know, sort of bow to Joseph and to Pizarro, like, hey, you guys got to step it up, or else we're gonna bring these young bucks up.
By the way, it was the 71st minute when they made that change.
I mean, again, I wouldn't have done that. I don't think it was the right call. I would have rather seen Pizarro get on than him. I mean, the kids probably got promised, but like, I don't know if you want to start testing the waters like that in a must-win game with the newest signing. I mean, this guy's like fresh out the box, 2 days old, right?
I was watching the game with my father on Saturday, and my father was extremely frustrated because he noticed, right? We were hanging on for dear life. We were protecting at all costs. We weren't worried about scoring. At that point, we were just defending for our lives. And my father's like, this is miserable. I can't watch this crap. But I told him, after a 6-game losing streak, you do whatever you have to get that W. Yes. So I understood it. I understood what we're doing. If you want to throw Campana out there to be a 5th center back and have absolutely nobody up front, I get it. Because at this point, you're doing anything possible to get this win. Because no matter how ugly it is, you had to get a W, right? like you said, even a draw, I think most fans would have been okay with. Because
Yeah.
at this point, nobody expected a win. But when you have a chance for a win, that's it. You play that boring ball. It doesn't
You gotta
matter.
lock
You
it up.
park-
Lock it up
You
and get
park the
win.
bus, as they say. Park the bus. Play the
Yes.
Van Gaal, which is miserable Manchester United history. Play the Van Gaal, park the bus, and just fucking squeeze out that clock. And that's what they did. And I respect it because they got the W. So I'm okay with it. Now, we got the dub. Is there anything else that you want to say about the game before we move on?
There is Hazel Lopez with the comment of all of the week. The comment of the week. And this is witty, unpredictable right here. Woo knowledge. Crema rules everything around me. Nice assist to Campana. Hell yeah, man. Give me some Ben Creme, bruh.
Ooh, I'm surprised you didn't come out with that yourself.
What? The Crema reference?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
That's Wu. If anybody doesn't know, Chris is obsessed with Wu-Tang. So
yeah, yes.
All right.
I haven't watched the last episode, by the way.
I haven't watched any of them. All right.
Oh,
so
you're terrible.
we got a couple awards this week. We got Campana on Team of the Week. We got Franco Negri, Team of the Week. And Coach of the Week. Your very own Phil.
Phil.
Neville. Coach of the mother bleeping week. Is this deserved, Chris? Because I did not see this coming.
Listen, I mean, you're asking me. I'm gonna tell you it is completely deserved, right?
Okay.
And I'm gonna give a shout out to Don Cafecito. Steve started up with the post game the tweet bus, right? Let's keep it PG 13.
Twitter Spaces, Chris. Twitter
Whatever,
Spaces.
Bro. Whatever. So he came on and he started it up. And one thing I needed to mention on there, and just like I'm going to mention right here, everybody is hating on this Phil Neville. I hate Phil Neville. He sucks, blah, blah, blah. Look at what difference it makes to have Campana start in a game after being injured. That goes to show you that it has absolutely nothing to do with Phil Neville.
Nothing to do with Phil Neville?
Maybe a little bit. I'll come back like 10%, right? You finally have Campana coming in, right? You don't have to deal with Joseph being the low level kicker or Borgelin just coming through for alley-oop headers, right? You have somebody that's more balanced that you haven't seen all season consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you have him. You finally give time to Kramashi, right? I mean, we're playing the same style. So, like, what went better this game than any other game? It's Campana. So, like, that's just talent coming onto the field.
But at what point do you start accommodating for the talent you have? That's what makes you a good manager. You have to manage the players that you're given. Well, so he should have adjusted his tactics to kind of serve the players he had. If he knows that Joseph is 5'2" and can't win a header for his life, why on earth are you living and dying by the crosses, like into the box? You know it's not going to work
because Borgelin is behind him.
But first of all, Bertrand wasn't playing most of those games. It was Joseph as the lone striker up top. And then you have Stefanelli playing over Pizarro, over Kramashi. Like, at some point, he has to take accountability for that. Now, I will give him credit for benching Joseph. I will give him credit for kind of not necessarily benching Pizarro, because I think Pizarro's been one of our best players this year, but for the fact that he's kind of making it a point to say, even if you're a DP, even though you're making a lot of money, it doesn't mean that you're going to get playing time. You need to kind of earn it, even though I think Pizarro has earned it. So I'm not sure what happened there. But I respect that. He did it with Higuain last year. He's doing it this year. That I do respect.
I think he's just saying, Pizarro, what you're doing is not enough. That's what I think is happening. Pizarro, you're just not doing enough. You're a DP. You need to be doing DP things. So, yes, your effort and your resilience and your style of play is like really better than what you did beforehand. But we need more, buddy. We need more. We pay you more, so we need more. Now, Joseph, go ahead. You were going to say?
No, I was gonna get off topic a little bit. So go ahead, finish your thought.
No, I mean, the thing about Joseph is you have Joseph that's trying to find his groove and he just hasn't. And here Campana comes in and he's like, hey, I've been running this show since 1985. Boom. Like it's game time for him. Listen, I understand why people get frustrated with coaches, just in sports in general. But again, to me, I feel like that argument is super lazy. I saw Michelle Kaufman on a podcast earlier this week, and
what podcast?
She said it was the Peter Brown and Ed show. And so basically, she was on there, and she's been covering this sports for like 25, 30, 35 years. And she said it. She said it in the nicest way that Michelle Kaufman could say it.
How'd she say it?
She said, hating on the coach is fucking lazy. Period. Point
I think
blank.
she's wrong. I wish she would come on here so I could argue with her.
What?
I think she's wrong because no. That's BS. That's BS. It's not lazy. It's lazy if you say it after 2 or 3 games. It's lazy if when they get hired, people are like, "Oh, it's a horrible hire." If you do it after 2 or 3, 4 losses, it's lazy. But Chris, it was 6 losses plus a subpar performance against the USL team. It's okay to say this guy isn't working out because he was obviously not working out.
Which, by the way, there's a lot of teams that lose to USL teams.
That's fine. No? Yes, but let's go see. Go find me the team that lost, and then let's go see if they had a 6-game losing streak going into that game. I'd like to see that because if that's the case, then I agree with you. If not, it's not the case. If you have a 6-game losing streak, you need to look good against a USL team, or you got to get the fuck out of here.
Well, all I know is that we got 2 wins in the last 2 games, Papi. And Phil Neville's out here like a legend.
He did whatever he could to get that W, and I respect that. Campana saved his ass with that header because that's what Campana does. Campana is the reason we stayed alive last year until Pozuelo arrived in the summer. So I give it to Campana. I give it to Campana. Campana is saving Neville's ass right now, and he might continue to save his ass until we can get a number 10. But don't tell me that it was Phil Neville's genius all of a sudden that changed because he was doing the same crap that he did the last 6 games. He did it on Saturday. Same crap.
I think some of the players have been sucking, which is a banner that I want to get to a little bit later. And it's not Phil Neville related.
I like Borgelin. I have high hopes for Borgelin. But I will tell you something that I noticed on Saturday. He is very slow.
Oh, my God. Molasses.
He is very, very slow. There was a chance at a counterattack, and, man, that was like, I don't know if maybe he strategically tried to hold up the ball, see if anybody came up with him, or if that was just his full-on, like, full speed, because that was – I was like, holy crap, he is slow.
And that kind of took – turbo.
That caught me off guard a little bit.
Listen, I mean, Borgelin is fine. He's a player that's on the come up, right? He's a player that we could see in our future in terms of, once he's growing, he can get some more experience and he can be able to be better, with his feet and especially as a striker. So I know that a year, 2 years down the road, he's going to be a monster. He's going to be a monster.
Look, Matthew just said Borgelin and Campana's build do not allow them to be fast. I am willing to bet the house that Campana will burn Borgelin in a race. Because what I saw, Borgelin looked like Mabika running around there. Because I remember Mabika also was pretty slow when he was take off running. I have a question. What do you think of our 2 new signings?
David Ruiz and
no. Kamal Miller and Dixon Arroyo. And yes, no, Pete, you were not the only one that thought he was running on sand. It looked really, really slow. All right, what were you saying, Chris?
I mean, look, I like Miller. I think that he's solid.
I thought that if not for him, I thought we would
this thing would be a bust. This thing would be a bust.
That goal that Cucho scored, just a couple seconds before that, Miller cleared the ball, which I thought was going to be a clear scoring opportunity again. Miller is really solid back there. I'm really happy with Miller.
I don't know about a Band-Aid, Matthew. Matthew chimes in, says that Miller's a baller. Arroyo is a great Band-Aid for Gregory. I don't even want to say like a Band-Aid. I feel like Arroyo is just like, you throw sand on the cut real quick before you even go put a Band-Aid.
What?
Like I don't feel like Arroyo has been as good as what the team expected. I don't think that he's going to be a Band-Aid in that term. I feel like if he has a couple poor performances, we might see him in the cycle of people just
Dixon
playing
Arroyo?
CDM. Yeah.
He has that position just off the fact that we have nobody else to play that position. Who else would you put over there?
I mean, your boy Ulloa.
I think Arroyo,
finally that he's getting some time.
Unless the miracle, which I don't even want to talk about, but I'll just say just for a second, unless the miracle Messi Busquets signing happens, Arroyo is going to be there until the end of the year. So just deal with Arroyo, and I don't think he looks great. Like he doesn't like pop out of the screen to me like Gregory did whenever he was going to go and win a tackle. Like, I think that Gregory was, as everybody says, right? It's almost cliche now, a bulldog or a pit bull over there getting the ball. Arroyo's not that guy, but I don't think he looks horrible either. So I lay off of Arroyo a little bit.
Well, look, you want to talk about signings. You want to talk about Arroyo, and you want to talk about Miller. Fine. I'm just going to use my banner right now. All right? Hashtag Hendo out. Everybody's out here talking about Phil Neville out. How about that, guys? Huh? How do you feel about that, chat? Because you know what I started thinking about? Here you are talking about Messi and all these other players.
I can't understand how you flipped the script on this. You gave me so much crap when I first brought this up a couple months ago.
And you know what? That's it. Like, I'm done with Hendo, right? Like, here we are.
You're done with Hendo?
I'm done because I can't believe, I think Pozuelo scored a goal over the weekend.
I don't keep up with the Turkish league.
And listen, at this point, I'm done with you, Hendo. I'm done. You let Pozuelo go. That's the number one thing that the team had. If we would have had Pozuelo with the players that we have now, with Joseph and Campana, this team would look completely different. Phil Neville would probably get the Hall of Fame speech in the next 2 years. Okay? We'd be championship bound, baby. But since Hendo thinks that he's like some craft cooksman cooking Kraft mac and cheese, he's out here getting all the praise. And here we are. We got Arroyo, who's a Band-Aid. And then here we got, not only is Pozuelo scoring goals, but then we got Bryce Duke scoring goals. What are we doing?
You got to give it. Well, look, first of all, you can't go ahead and say you really like Miller and then say, oh, but what are we doing? We let Bryce Duke go. The only way you can get quality is to give up quality. I know that everybody on Twitter loves to like, oh, let's get Messi and let's just send Ulloa over to PSG and just do a trade straight up. I know that you can't trade. I get it. It was an analogy. But this is what people want. If you want to get somebody of the caliber of Miller, you have to give up somebody like Bryce Duke. And that's okay. Look, I don't think Bryce Duke was going to get much play over here. So we got somebody that is making an immediate impact. Are you not happy with the impact Miller's making?
Well, Miller, yes.
Okay. So do you feel our defensive line, our back line is now solidified?
I mean, it is, but even when we had McVay there, like the team felt pretty comfortable about our back line, even with McVay starting. So, like, I mean, not that it wasn't perfect, because it wasn't, right? It wasn't perfect. But at the same time, like, we give Duke away. Imagine now we gave Duke away, and now we have like zero midfield when we already had zero midfield before Duke, just because of the simple fact that we're playing him out of position. Because all of that happened because Hendo did not sign paper to pen with your boy Pozuelo. Hendo out. That's enough. Get out of here.
Well, I think he did well addressing the six, right? Because at this point in April, Where are you going to find a random center defensive midfielder? You're not going to find just a random one. So he got a decent CDM to come fill in that need. I think he did well addressing that need. Again, maybe he's not what you want, but he's better than what we had. So I give him credit for that. I give him credit for solidifying our back line. I think Miller and Kristoff together might be one of the best center back duos in the league. Is it the best? I'm not going to say the best, but it could be one of the top 5 in the league. So I'm happy with that. Negri, a great signing. Although it's gotten to a point where I kind of wish Negri wouldn't play left back. Just play him at left wing, because he never played. Have you ever noticed him ever winning a ball back there or doing anything defensively? Like, whenever I notice him, he's doing something offensively. So at this point, let's just play him up top and put McVay back at the left back like we did last year, because I don't see what exactly Negri is contributing on the defense. But I think that Hendo has done a better job than you give him credit for. And that's coming from me. That was the first one to question him just a while ago.
I want to talk a little bit about Richard Greenberg before we hop on to the next subject here. So now we got a bunch of GAM for the summer transfer window. I'm not good with doing numbers here. And if one of you guys in the chat can help me out, how much Monopoly money do we have? Does anybody know exactly how much Monopoly money we have with this GAM, TAM, and BAM stuff? Because I have absolutely no idea. Because supposedly the money that we were going to get with Miller, we were only able to use it like up until last week. So is there like some clause or something that stretches the money out?
No, we still have it. We can't use it from now until the summer, but that's
look
fine.
At this. Look at Matthew. He's probably the most knowledgeable with the money, and he's talking about 1.5 ish. I don't need ish. Give me a number. I think, look at this. Everybody's got a different number. I think around 2 million. I think if my calculations, this guy's doing science projects in his bedroom, talking about 1.5 million ish. Ain't nobody solving the coronavirus with an ish solution.
Right. Chris, I have a question for you. The way the team is structured right now, are you happy with our striker, Campana?
Yes.
Okay. Are you happy with our center backs?
Yeah.
Okay. What about our left back and right back, Yedlin and Negri? I'm going to take that as a yes. Okay. So the issue you're having is with the midfield, right?
I mean, of course.
Our 10. The 10 is what we need, and we're hoping that comes in the summer. But outside of that, what are you really trying to get outside of depth? We have Mota. Mota's not losing his spot. We have Pizarro. He's not going anywhere. Maybe he won't start, but he's not going anywhere. We have Kramashi, which we think and we hope is going to become
a future
real player for us. Right. So let's say we have Kramashi and Mota in the middle. What are you hoping to get?
I mean, I think that it would have been nice to have Pozuelo, but I would imagine that the only thing that's going to help us in terms of acquisition, it's got to be a 10. Like, I don't think that the team is in no way, shape, or form is looking into a big signing or a big player other than for that 10 spot. But we had that. Like, we had that. Without a Miller, with a McVay, we got Negri now, right? But now, would Negri have not been signed if it wasn't for not keeping Pozuelo? Or would Stefanelli not be signed and we could keep Negri?
I think the reason that they were okay. I think the reason that they were okay letting Pozuelo go was because they got Stefanelli. Everybody thought Stefanelli was going to fit that role of a 10. He just didn't.
This guy plays 74 positions. When you're good at everything, you suck at one thing. Or however that saying is.
But if we get Messi, all of this gets forgotten, is it not? The whole goal is to stay afloat long enough for Messi to arrive. I'm not even sure how we got into all of this. We've gotten so far away from Saturday's game. I'm not even sure why.
Hendo sucks.
So Campana is back. Campana is back. Last year, we were riding that losing streak. All of a sudden, Campana came back. He started playing more frequently, right? And then he had that hat trick, and then we were rolling. Is that what you're expecting this year? Is Campana going to be the savior that keeps us afloat until the summer, until we can get some help?
Yeah. For sure. Without a shadow of a doubt.
We have, let's see, who do you have coming up? We have Atlanta. We have,
Yeah, there we go, Lucas. Sing the tunes, baby. Sing the tunes, baby. Number 10 should have gone to Pozuelo instead of this false Messi. Messi at this point, I don't even know if he's like a real person anymore. Like he's like some like angel figure that like nobody's really ever seen before.
On Saturday, do you think Joseph gets a start since he's playing against Atlanta?
I think so. I think that's a smart play. And then let Campana come in and just sweep everything up if we're losing.
I think Campana starts no matter what. I don't think Campana's not starting. I'm just wondering if Joseph's also going to get the start. Or do you think that they go two up top? Because this is the thing. And I've been saying this since Campana came back. We were all hyped up about this two up top, right? The two strikers up top. And we haven't seen it yet, even after Campana came back.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that Joseph plays better with Campana next to him. Do you think there's a chance that we see that? Or do we write out the same exact lineup that we had on Saturday because we won?
I think that Neville has learned that the one striker setup is better than the two, especially since we have no 10. Now, Matthew mentions here Stefanelli was never advertised as a 10. He was advertised as a winger / striker. Listen, Matthew, it's like what Danny said. This guy was advertised as a jack of all trades, which Steve Munoz just says master of none. I thought he was going to be a 10 too.
Well, look, I remember we had Alex Winley on. It was I want to say sometime in February during the preseason, and she was going on about how great he was mentally, the way he broke down the game, about how he understood where Campana wanted the ball, and all signs pointed to him being the number. All signs pointed to him being the number 10 that was going to replace Pozuelo, and that's evident by the fact that when the season started, they were playing him in that position. So that was the hope. Whether when they initially signed him and we didn't know that Pozuelo was not going to be there. Yes, I remember that they said, oh, he could play the wings, he could play a striker. They kind of painted him as a Coco, right? Kind of like the way they did Coco last year. But once Pozuelo wasn't there, all of a sudden, the narrative shifted. It's like, but he could play the 10 also. And then Alex Winley came on here and she told us about how good he is, his mentality, how he can get it done. So we all thought, maybe this guy can be that guy. But he wasn't, and it was very apparent a couple weeks into the season. We've now seen him play out in the wing or out on the left, and he's much better out there than he was playing the 10. If anything, I think Pizarro has looked best there since the beginning of the season. But I think Stefanelli is somebody that I'm surprised is still getting consistent minutes, and I'd like to see Pizarro back, even though that was not where I was going with that thought. But
I don't understand why Martinez and especially Pizarro are getting this like cold shoulder treatment from Phil Neville and not Stefanelli. Like Stefanelli, this whole season has gone unscathed. He still stays with his starting position. He still gets consistent minutes every game. Like I have to imagine that Bryce Duke and Lassiter are literally giggling in the locker room in Montreal because they are looking at Stefanelli like, look at what you guys did to us. Played this guy over us, and he's still doing absolutely nothing except an assist off of an assist last game.
Bryce Duke and Lassiter are doing anything but laughing. They're up there freezing their asses off. I promise you. They're not only freezing their asses off, but they're playing for a team that is probably worse than Inter Miami. So I promise you, they're not giggling. That's the last thing they're doing.
Listen, they have won 2 of the last 3 games, and I think the only one that they haven't won.
According to you, we've won the last 2 games.
Well, no, but we did win the last. It's not according to me. It's according to like rules and statistics and like sports life.
So what are they laughing?
Well, they're laughing at. I mean, they're laughing at the fact that this guy Stefanelli has taken their position, and he's doing absolutely nothing with it. Good job, Hendo. Good job for that. Cheers.
So winding down here, we got Cramashi. I think was the bright spot. I think Miller and Arroyo looking decent. Negri playing great offense. I see positives. How optimistic are you? And I want to hear everybody in the chat. How optimistic are you in the next, I want to say, 2 or 3 weeks coming up? Because we have a few home games coming up. We have Atlanta at home. We have that U.S. Open Cup against Charleston at home. We have New England at home. And then we go on the road to Nashville.
And then
How
we
are
have
you feeling
Orlando at
about these
home.
games? I really hate this random, but I really hate that the Nashville game is a weekday because I would love to go to Nashville. I was watching that Traditions on Apple TV after last week's episode when they told us about the Jackhammer. I went back to check out the Jackhammer, and then I checked out Nashville's. And man, Nashville's looks like an awesome game day experience. And if it wasn't for it being a weekday, I think I would try to make it out there. But anyway, so we have Atlanta at home. We have Charleston at home. We have New England at home. We have a weekday game against Nashville on the road, and then we come back at home against Orlando. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of the next 5 games are going to be at home. Yeah. How are you feeling? How optimistic are you feeling about these games? Because we usually feel like we're a good home team, but we've lost some hope as the team has performed over the last couple of weeks. But after these 2 wins, how are you feeling?
Well, I know that New England has just been terrorizing the entire league. They're number 1, I believe, in the East. Mm-hmm. And so that's pretty scary. Atlanta, I believe they're pretty high. If they're not 3rd or 4th, I think they're 3rd.
They're a very good team with the MVP of the league.
Yeah, they're a pretty good team. So I'm pretty certain that Joseph has got, some bone to pick. And then Orlando just, they're Orlando. I can't wait to play them. I feel like
I'll tell you, for those of you that weren't aware, if you count the U.S. Open game, we have 7 games in the month of May. So this is a big month. By the time May 31st comes around, which we actually have a game to end the month on May 31st against the Red Bulls. By the time that game ends on May 31st, we'll know more or less if we're a playoff contending team or if we just completely dropped out of the race. Because 7 games that's a lot. This is a very important month.
Contenders or pretenders? That's basically what the month of May is going to be. And it sucks because we're playing a lot of pretty good teams. I would hope that we come out with, at the most 2 losses, and the rest have to be sprinkled with wins and maybe a tie or 2.
At the beginning of this season, I came on here and I said, I'm never going to predict that Miami will lose a home game because I feel like we could beat any team at home up until the last couple of weeks where I'm like, I just don't see this team doing anything, period. But I will tell you that Campana has kind of brought new life to my optimism. I feel like Campana is going to kind of do what he did last year and kind of put us on his back. And all of a sudden, if he starts rolling off some goals, people might even start talking about him in the MVP conversation if we start reeling off some wins. Now, I don't think he has any chance of winning it because Almada from Atlanta is going to win that hands down. But I think that Campana can kind of get us going. The Red Bulls aren't good. Montreal isn't good. Orlando, we own them. So I think that's at least 3 wins right there. So, I think this month... You're
talking maybe 11 points? Maybe 11 points, squeezing that out?
We can get 11 points. I could see us drawing with Atlanta. Like Peter said earlier in the chat, Peter said Nashville beat Atlanta by just defending for their lives, right? They did the most out of their chances. They scored and they defended for their lives. And if that's how they beat Atlanta, I can't see why we can't do that here at home this weekend. But we're going to get more into the Atlanta game this Wednesday.
We just beat Columbus like that. Mm-hmm. Made the most of our opportunities, hunkered down, built base, and won the hardcore defensive way. So,
that's what
if we could do it against Columbus, I think we could do it against Atlanta.
Well, I think we got 11 points in the month of May and beating Charleston to move on to the next round of the U.S. Open Cup. I think those are all possibilities, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a big month, a busy month for us, Chris.
Yes, for sure. And Steve just put up a comment. I wanted to mention this. Shout out to the coldest water bottles. Let me tell you, this is like my third water bottle. I didn't want to talk about my water bottle because I want to get sponsored by these bitches at some point because I'm trying to get a free water bottle.
I don't know if that's the best way to go about it, calling them bitches, but sure.
Well, I mean, they're good bitches, not bad bitches. That's why I drink them. And this is like my third water bottle. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Shit has
All right.
lasted forever. Highly recommended.
So, ending it up here, we're 3-6. We're only one of 3 teams that have absolutely no draws this season, which is crazy to me. So we either
It is
win or
insane.
lose. We're 12th in the East, but we're only 3 points out of 9th place, which is where we need to be. And if you've been following my South Florida sports, if you make it into the playoffs as the 8th seed, there's a good chance you eliminate the 1st seed because that's just what South Florida teams do. So I
And
mean,
that's
it's not
what the
worst
Knicks
place
did
for us to
too a
be.
couple years ago. Right, bitch?
You mean 1999, 24
Yes,
years
okay,
ago?
I said a couple years ago. I didn't want to tell you exactly how many years. A couple could be anywhere between 2 and 100. Okay.
And just to clear it up, after this past weekend, we're only one of only 2 teams to never have a draw because Real Salt Lake was one of the other ones, and they drew against the Sounders. So we're one of only 2 teams to never have a draw. So it's either feast or famine, as they say. So let's hope that we get a W, but we'll talk more about that Atlanta game on Wednesday when we have our preview episode for the weekend. We have an opposing Atlanta podcast to join us to preview that game. And do you have anything else for the people, Chris?
No, just tune into your TVs tomorrow and then tune into your YouTubes on Wednesday so that way we can cover the upcoming game against Atlanta.
You mean tune into the TVs tomorrow to watch the Heat take a 2-0 lead against the Knicks? Is that what you were referring
That's
to?
not true, bitch. We're talking about the greatest. Okay. Tune to your TVs and watch the Knicks stomp on the Heat, tie the series because it's going to game 7 with the Knicks coming out on top.
Yeah, we'll see about
Don't play
that,
games.
sir.
And look at Richard Greenberg living in the land of the degeneracism. Where are we going?
should
What,
make a
you
bet.
got some?
What,
We
you want to
should,
lay
right?
a bet down, Chris?
I'll lay a bet down, Bobby. Let's go.
What do you want to bet?
I'll bet like $20. How about that?
$20. Oh, you talking money? I was trying to figure something more a little creative. And
we're gonna have to
Richard Greenberg.
publicize
Did the Leafs finally made it to the second round? And how long? What was the last time that the Leafs made it to the second round?
Ooh, it's been a while, right?
No, I'm waiting for him to answer because I know it's been a while. I just don't remember how long. All right. So, by the way, I'm a Rangers fan, but I do support the Panthers. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys listening all the way to the end. 19 years. Good God. I didn't know it was that long. So congratulations on the Leafs finally making it to the second round. Who do they play the second round? Don't tell me they're playing against the Panthers.
Yeah,
No,
they're playing
Panthers
against
playing
the
against no, they're playing against Carolina's playing the Panthers. It's the Rangers. When they beat the Devils tonight, they're gonna play against the Leafs. So that should be interesting. All right. So again, appreciate everybody listening all the way to the end. Thank you everybody for joining the chat, and catch us on Wednesday night when we preview the Atlanta episode. Oh, sorry, the Atlanta game with it's not Panthers Leafs, is it? I'm sorry. I'm getting, but I can't log off without having the facts straight for everybody.
Ed Bartra is asking us to bet jerseys. You want to bet some jerseys?
Oh, it is the Leafs. Yep, it's the Panthers against the Leafs, and the Rangers when they beat the Devils will play Carolina. Oh, okay. I'm really hoping the Rangers end up playing against the Panthers in these conference finals. All right. So again, sorry for randomly going ahead and Rangers are losing 2-0 right now. God damn it. All right. So again, I've signed off like 3 times here. I'm sorry, guys. Especially if you guys are hearing the audio, you don't realize what's going on in the chat. I appreciate you guys. We'll catch you guys on Wednesday when we preview the Atlanta game with an Atlanta podcast. And until then, we'll catch you guys later.